Rangers and Celtic. These two Glaswegian football clubs contest the Old Firm derby, one of the nastiest rivalries in world football. And to say that it's nasty is an understatement, because the players absolutely hate each other, and the fans, they hate each other even more. And the reasons why they hate each other have certainly been well documented. But is it as bad as the media makes it out to be? What happens when you wear one team's shirt in the opposing team's stadium tour? The Old Firm derby has been contested for well over 100 years, and the honours between them are roughly equal. But what's it like to actually go around each other's stadiums?
Now, regulars of my channel will know that I'm a Manchester United fan, and I have been for quite some time. And if I've got to be honest, I don't really have much of an opinion on Rangers or Celtic. I barely watch Scottish football. I've probably seen an Old Firm game twice in my life. And I don't have any preference to any team one way or the other. I'm not religious, I'm not a unionist or a Republican. These two teams are about as neutral as you can get. But I'm curious to know, is it really true what people say about Rangers or Celtic? And do they hate each other so much that the sheer sight of their colours infills them with rage? Well, I'm here to find out. Now, a few guideline rules before we get started. Number 1, no antagonising. I'm not here to piss anybody off intentionally, I just want to see what their reaction's going to be. Number 2, confession. If for some reason they figure out that I'm not a real Rangers or Celtic fan, mainly because of my appearance and accent, if they challenge me on it, I will confess and say no, I'm not actually a Rangers or Celtic fan. And number 3, no fighting. Whilst I am a trained fighter, I don't want to be spending the afternoon and evening in a Glaswegian hospital or prison. So no fighting. Am I going to get stabbed by wearing a Celtic or a Rangers shirt in the opposing team stadium? Let's find out. Ibrox Stadium, Celtic shirt. Alright, let's get this over and done with.
Ibrox Stadium, the home of Rangers Football Club. This rather imposing looking building is the third largest football ground in Scotland and has been the traditional home for Rangers. And when you walk around the ground, red brickwork, traditional style architecture, and you can tell almost immediately that there's a lot of history behind this football club. And everywhere you look is a sea of blue and red.
Guys, I'm literally 1 minute in. 1 minute. And already I've got angry car drivers blaring the horns at me, so yeah, I'm gonna start so far.
The tour actually begins on the side of the stadium that's next to the main road at their club reception. And almost immediately I noticed that the Rangers fans don't want anything to do with me. In fact, they're making a conscious effort to keep their distance away from me.
Hello sir, how are you?
Can I help you?
Stadium tour?
Sorry?
Stadium tour?
You're doing a stadium tour?
Yeah.
Wearing that jersey?
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
That's our arch rivals, is that why you're filming? You walk in here, you might not get back out.
I might not get back out? Shit, is it really that bad in here? Anyway, once you walk through reception, it's time to go into the press conference area, where you actually get to see where they do all their press conferences. Once again, I must have a really bad smell because no one's sitting next to me. You get put through a video presentation, and the tour guide tells you a lot about Rangers Football Club. You even get a chance to go up on the stage and have your picture taken. And the tour guide actually offered to take my picture on the stage. Oh, that's a shame. Well, at least you tried. So, after you've had your picture taken up in the press conference area, it's time to go up a flight of stairs, and you'll notice that the inside of this place is very ornately decorated. This is the Blue Room, and there's a lot of historical significance in this Blue Room, which the tour guide tells you a lot about. And it's kind of interesting to learn about the history of Rangers because I didn't actually know all that much. And wow, that's actually a cool mural. If you hang around till the end, there's plenty of cool photo opportunities. This is the manager's office, you'll notice that everything is kept very traditional, which I kind of like because it actually shows off the history of the club. Right, time to walk up a few flights of stairs and into the director's box where you get your first view of the pitch. And this place really is as big as you see on the TV. The tour guide tells you a lot about the stadium, what goes on here on a match day, etc. And it's cool to take photos out here as well. So you get led into one of the corporate hospitality lounges, and it's very Scottishly decorated with red and blue and tartan. I quite like that, it's got character. Whilst you're walking through the corridors, you'll notice a lot of historical caps. The Scottish are very proud of their caps, and it's kind of cool to see some of these on the walls. Hey, it's Andy Gorham. Man, he was a hell of a player. You're led into the trophy room, and there is a lot of silverware here. These guys have seriously won a lot of stuff, and you get to learn a lot about what Rangers have won. Whether you believe that they're the world's most successful football club or not, one thing's for sure, they've won a lot of stuff, and it's cool to see. Check out that thing of beauty in the middle there. Hey, it's Gaz's bike. Well, not his actual bike, he made it infamous. You could probably guess the reasons why. It's time to go down the stairs, and at this point, I think the fans suspect that something's up. This is the home team's dressing room, whereby it's a traditionally decorated dressing room, full of wooden cladding. They've got cardboard cutouts instead of shirts, but overall, it provides you some great photo opportunities. There's also the bathrooms, which are also traditionally decorated in the away team's changing room as well, so yeah, that's kind of cool. But no stadium tour is complete without a tunnel walk. There's great photo opportunities here, but my advice is to wait for everyone to clear out and then take your pictures here, because there's some pretty cool things to take pictures of. But once you're done taking the pictures, it's time to walk through the tunnel in and amongst some music. The view of the stadium here at ground level is actually quite good, and I highly recommend that you take lots of pictures here, guys, because there's a lot to take pictures of. Whether it's the stands, the dugouts, or the tunnel entrance, you won't be short on things to take pictures of. And if you get bored, obviously you can sit in a seat if you want to. But overall, guys, this is actually quite a pretty stadium, and once you've taken your pictures and stuff, that's basically the end of your tour. So you disappear back down the tunnel, and away you go. If you want some unobstructed photo opportunities, wait for everyone else to clear out before taking it yourself.
Okay, that was a little awkward. Where do I begin? Well, firstly, nobody wanted to stand next to me. That's how much these two sets of fans don't particularly like each other. But did they want to stab me in the face? Well, if they did, they didn't actually. So even though I got a few death stares and stuff like that, other than that, it wasn't that bad. And at the end of the tour, I ended up talking to our tour guide, who was actually a very reasonable guy. He explained that even though both sets of fans generally hate each other, there is that mutual respect. So that's always good to know.
Right, it's time to hop in the car and head across the city to the other stadium. Celtic Park, the home of the Celtic Football Club. This stadium is the largest football ground in the country of Scotland, and is sometimes referred to as Parkhead or Paradise. No, seriously, they print it on the side of the stadium. And around the ground, you'll see statues of their heroes, Brother Walfrid, the great Jock Stein, and arguably their greatest ever captain, Mr. Billy McNeil. But am I going to get similar treatment here at Celtic Park?
Celtic Park? Rangers shirt.
The tour actually begins inside the club reception, which is here on this side of the building. And for some reason, they're leading me all on my own down the side of the building. Is this normal? Am I going to get shot round the back now? As it turns out, this is a perfectly normal part of the tour. And one thing that was abundantly clear, everyone was super nice. They all shook my hand and welcomed me to Celtic Park. And this guy right here, I'm pretty sure that he rumbled me straight off the bat. I'm fairly certain that he figured out that I wasn't actually a Rangers fan. But even if he did or he didn't, he was incredibly nice to me. This is my tour guide David, and once again he was also very nice to me. Lots of smiles, very polite, and you notice that as soon as you come here to Celtic Park, you're given a warm welcome by literally everybody, which is fantastic. The tour actually begins here at one of the corporate hospitality lounges, but after you've had a quick bite to eat etc, it's now time to start the tour.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That's much better. Guys, a very warm welcome to you all to Celtic Park, the home of the champions, the home of the 8 in a row champions, the home of the treble winners, the home of the double treble winners, the home of the treble winners.
Now at this point I'm pretty sure he's doing this just to shame me, but you know what? I found the funny side of it. And the funny thing is, they all actually laughed and applauded me for wearing a Rangers shirt. To be honest, they all saw the funny side of it, and I'm actually in shock at this point as to how cool everyone is about this. All the fans didn't mind that I was there, and they actually wanted to stand next to me. Here's the boardroom, whereby you've got the busts of Brother Wilfried and Jock Stein. This is where they conduct their business, but one of the interesting things about this particular boardroom is the trophy cabinet. You get to learn a lot about some of the trophies that they've won, especially these 3 right here. And I learned a lot about Celtic Football Club just from this talk, but David actually gave a rousing speech about how football fans should treat each other.
I get him saying to me, you don't have to play for Celtic to represent Celtic. As soon as you wear that scarf, as soon as you wear that jersey, you're representing Celtic. If you go to a match and you cause bother, people don't see you causing bother. They see a Celtic supporter causing bother. And that's what brings a bad name to this football club.
I totally bought into what he was saying. Football is not about racism. It's not about secularism. We're here to enjoy the game and not hate on each other.
Again, a treble. No wonder you're laughing, buddy. No wonder you're laughing. Is that you crying? I'm not sure.
And even though I got ripped quite a lot, it was all in good fun. It's interesting to see some of the accolades that they've won, particularly the medals of their best players, including this man, Mr. Billy McNeil. And speaking of Billy McNeil, you get a fantastic talk about the 1967 Lisbon Lions, arguably their greatest ever team, captained by Mr. McNeil, and you get to learn about some of the greatest players to have ever donned a hoops shirt. But once the talks ended, you then get led towards the home team's dressing room. And check out the murals on the walls, that's actually kind of cool. When you enter the home team's dressing room, it's actually kind of nice. These guys actually have the shirts on display, so you've got some cool photo opportunities. And they don't mind you actually picking up the shirts and having your photos taken with them, which I thought was actually kind of cool. This shirt, oh, that looks familiar. But you get to learn a lot about what happens on a match day here, and even the fact that famous people, when they do this tour, they actually sign the inside of the lockers, which I found really interesting. Check out the signatures, I don't know who they are, but yeah, cool. Once again, the Celtic fans know how to have a bit of a laugh and a joke. To be honest, I actually enjoyed my time here. It wasn't at all threatening, there was no animosity, and everyone was up for a bit of a laugh. But now it's time to walk down the corridors towards the players' tunnel. And this is the point where he picks somebody to lead the team out onto the field. Guess who that was? After a bit of Rangers shaming, all in good fun of course, I actually led all these Celtic fans down the tunnel towards the field, which they all saw the funny side of.
I thought you were going to play the other one, the one that I hate so much.
But you get a fantastic view of the stadium from here, guys. And even though it's getting dark and you've got the grass lights on, you can still see most of the stadium. It was actually kind of cool. There's plenty of photo opportunities up and around here, including in the dugout seats. They even have one of those Instagram selfie boards, which I totally did. And yeah, that's the one that you saw on Twitter. And you get to spend some time taking in the sights and taking lots of pictures and videos if you want to. This stadium is actually pretty big, and it certainly looks like the size that you see when you're watching the games on TV. But after you've taken your photos and videos, it's time to disappear back down the tunnel and up a flight of stairs towards the director's bit. Now, you get some fantastic views of the stadium from up here, and you get to learn a lot about some of the people who actually come to the games here. For example, this seat belongs to Billy Connolly, and this seat belongs to Sir Rod Stewart. I thought that was actually kind of interesting. Now, at this point of the tour, I'd like to talk about our tour guide David. He was probably the best tour guide that I've ever come across when doing these stadium tours. Very knowledgeable about his club, very passionate, and also very educational. Even though I got a ribbing for wearing a Rangers shirt, it was all in good fun and we could have a laugh and a joke. There was no ounce of animosity here, so if you do get David as your tour guide, consider yourselves very, very lucky. And if you're Celtic Football Club, seriously, give this man a pay rise, he certainly deserves it. Once you get a final talk from your tour guide, everyone's still having a laugh and a joke.
The tour as well. Listen, you've got to send people home happy. If you heard my voice, trust me, you wouldn't be going home happy.
So take in your last views of the stadium, guys, because this is pretty much the end of the tour. Up the stairs you go, and lots of handshakes from the Celtic staff before they give you some free swag. Overall, I was made to feel very, very welcome here, and I'm highly grateful of that. If you do want to do a bit of shopping, the Celtic Superstore is literally across the way there, so you can actually buy quite a lot of stuff. And at the end of the tour, I actually revealed to both tour guides that I'm actually not a Rangers or Celtic fan.
I'm not a Rangers fan.
Okay.
Just wanted to see what all your reactions were, that's all.
Fantastic, brilliant.
Future in here, I'm obviously back home here in sunny Lancashire trying to edit this video for you guys. And there's something I've got to get off my chest. Both Rangers and Celtic were very, very nice to me. I concluded that the hatred isn't real and it's grossly exaggerated. But then I went to the car and turned my phone back on. My phone had lit up like a Christmas tree, and it turns out that pictures of me doing these tours had circulated on the internet, to the point whereby the local newspapers were actually reporting this as news. Man in Celtic top does Rangers tour, then visits Parkhead in a light blues jersey. You see, I don't even deem that to be news. As you can tell from my channel, I actually do this a lot in my Manchester United shirt, and in all honesty, nobody really bats an eyelid, not even at Liverpool. So the fact that this made the newspapers, I'm actually quite astonished. Rangers and Celtic mystery solved as YouTube star visits ground in rivals tops. Why thank you Daily Record, but I'm honestly not a YouTube star. I barely have any subscribers. If you want to help me out, subscribe of course, but to be honest, nobody really watches my videos, so I'm surprised you've come out with that, but thank you very much for the compliment. But then I started to take a closer look at some of the comments. Some of them accused me of being some kind of attention-seeking whore. I'm not, and I've just explained the reasons why. Some of them think that I was some kind of confused Chinese tourist, which I could understand where you'd get that from. And I even got a handful of compliments, so yeah, thank you very much for that. Very kind of you. But I'm sorry to report that most of the comments were overwhelmingly negative. People reacted really badly to me turning up to a stadium in a different coloured shirt. Let's make one thing very, very clear. I honestly don't care what abuse you throw at me. I died a long time ago, so whatever you say doesn't really matter in the grander scheme of things. You see, this is the problem with football. This unmitigated level of hatred. And we can't complain about racism when we're coming out with comments like this. And we also can't complain about hooliganism when people want me dead for wearing a different coloured shirt. Think about that for a second. You want somebody to die because they're wearing a different coloured t-shirt. Does that not seem a little bit overblown to you? Football is not about racism. Football is not about secularism. Football isn't about any form of discrimination at all. What it is about is what's on the field. That's it. That's all it should be about. Don't buy into all of this negative hatred. You don't have to hate anybody to support your local football team.
Now at this point, I understand that you may not listen to me, and if you have listened to me and still decide that you want to do this, then by all means, it's a free country, you can write and say what you like, but if you do, just understand that you're part of the problem. So Nin, if I've only got time to do one stadium tour, which one do I go to, Rangers or Celtic? Celtic, and it's not even close. Don't get me wrong, the Rangers tour was actually very, very good. The tour guide was very, very nice to me, and you got to learn a lot about Rangers, and it was very educational. As far as the facilities are concerned, they have that retro traditional charm where everything's ornately decorated, and I actually quite like that. It screams character, it screams history. I like all of this stuff. And if you are around the Ibrox area, if you're a neutral or if you happen to be around Glasgow and you do want to do the tour at Ibrox, I highly recommend that you do. But if you've only got time to do one tour out of the both of them, go to Celtic. The stadium is bigger, it has a more modern appearance, which might appeal to some, and technically there's a lot more stuff to see. But the real difference is how you're treated. I was so shocked, literally surprised, that they were so nice to me even though I was wearing a Rangers shirt. They welcomed everybody and they were super nice about it. And once again, shout out to David, possibly the best tour guide in the country. But honestly, either or guys, seriously, if you've got time to do them both, do them both. Rangers and Celtic are fantastic football teams, they're fantastic organisations. Of course they are, they've dominated Scottish football and it's not even been close, so obviously they're doing something right. Visit them both if you can, but if you don't and you only have time to do one, pick Celtic over Rangers. Okay Nin, I'm sold. What do I do? Well, you need to either get to Ibrox or Celtic Park. Both of them are easily accessible via public transport or driving, and they're very well connected, so they're not particularly difficult to find. The cost to do these tours? Well, to be honest, really not expensive. They're actually one of the cheaper tours I've actually done, and they're definitely value for money. Is there anything else I need to know? Yes, technically at Rangers, you cannot video anything. Whilst they allow photography, they don't allow you to video anything. I know I recorded this covertly, whether that was right or wrong, I do apologise if anyone's offended by that, but it was the only way to show you what the Rangers tour was actually like. But there was no such restriction at Celtic, and they actually encourage you to take as many photos and videos as you like, which I did. Where does this rank in the hierarchy of your stadium tours? Well, Rangers, somewhere in the middle, but Celtic, I'm going to put literally there, at the number 2 spot. I wouldn't say it's as good as the one I did at PSG, which the video's coming up soon, sorry. These things take time to edit, so I'm working on that. But Celtic is pretty much at number 2. In theory, you could call it 1A and 1B, and the main reason that's up there is mainly down to the customer service of David and his crew. So guys, if you're a football fan and you're in Glasgow, I highly recommend doing these stadium tours. If you've only got time to do one, go to Celtic Park, but if you're near Ibrox, go in. Yeah, seriously, it's a good tour. And if you have enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Comment on the comment section below, and if I get enough suggestions for more bucket list ideas, feel free to tweet them at me. If I get enough suggestions, I'll go ahead and do that. So guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.
You get challenged like that, I'm running. You saw my videos on YouTube? And if you are going to be, completely lost my train of thought. I've just bumped into one of my fans here who's actually seen my YouTube video.
This is certainly a first.
Yeah, this is a first. Congratulations.
So, sorry, what's your name?
Alex.
Alex, so what are you doing here?
Just visiting the stadium.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know where all the fans have disappeared to today. If there's some kind of Scottish national holiday that I don't know about, so yeah. And are you going to be wearing a Celtic shirt today?
Nah, not for me.
Thanks, man. Thanks. No, I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. So, guys, I'm here outside Glasgow Celtic. I'm not at Celtic. Jesus God. Don't get that wrong. They'll just punch my head in.